You're listening to the Uplevel Your Online Business Show, where wealth is empowering, purpose is crucial, and high vibes are non-negotiable. And now, here's your host, certified business coach and practical woo strategist, Sara J Loureiro.
All right, so welcome to another episode of the Uplevel Your Online Business Show. This is another client episode. I'm here with my lovely client, Christiane, and she's going to be going ahead and asking some really great questions that hopefully a lot of you can relate to as well. So welcome, Christiane. Do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Aloha, I'm Christiane Bolasani, and I am located in Hawaii, and I am a small business entrepreneurship coach. I love helping people that find themselves all over the place. I love helping them kind of find and identify their unique flow, embrace it, and really help them design their own success through the different coaching and programs and services that I offer.
Perfect. All right. Welcome. All right. And go ahead. Feel free and ask away. What questions do you want to go through on our session today?
Yeah. So I think one of the biggest things that I've been kind of struggling with lately is that motivation. I think coming off of the holidays, and I think just the fatigue of that last quarter of the year push. So how do you, as an entrepreneur yourself, how do you continue to motivate yourself, especially around like after the holidays, and get yourself back into gear? That would be a great one for you to help me with right now. I'm kind of feeling that. And even some of my clients that I'm working with is talking about that as well.
Oh, I love this question. Okay, awesome. Yeah. So I feel like there's kind of two parts of this. Is like one is the holiday leg, and then the other part is like re-motivating yourself, especially when you come out of like a really, really big and hard push mode for yourself and for your business, right? And I can definitely relate because it's really hard to keep motivated, especially when you feel like you've just been pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing for a really long time. And I think one of the best things that you can do is just reconnect to what it is that you're doing and why you're doing it. Like, what is your big why? What is the thing that you really want to do? And why is it so important to you? The minute you can get back to that, the minute that you can get back to why is this thing really important to me? What is in it for me? What is in it for me for the long haul? What do I want to see myself in 5 years that I know I need to start with right now? I think that's one of the biggest ways that I remotivate myself. It's just like, okay, I know that I did a lot of work. I know that this one time was really trying for myself, but where do I want to be at the end of this year? Okay, what do I need to do today in order to become the person that I want to become by the end of this year? And what do I need to commit myself to? What do I need to hold conviction with that is going to carry me on throughout the rest of the year? And when I can commit to that, and when I can really see that in the future, that's when I'm like, okay, it's game time. I get it. I'm reprioritizing my goals again. And I think another really big thing here is to understand what motivates you and to start connecting yourself with the thing that motivates you. And so I find that for myself, a lot of the times when I am feeling maybe like lackluster in business, I don't feel as motivated as I'd want to, I always then reconnect myself to my clients or try to find some sort of relationship that I can connect myself with, because it's usually when I connect with people and when I see the impact that I'm creating on people, that really is what gets me going. And so finding whatever fuels your motivation as well within your work and doing more of that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally. It's funny, right? Because I teach the same thing, right? Like I do a whole 7 layers of why, right? Ask yourself why, and then why again, why again. So I think that is something that I just, sometimes you got to practice what you preach. And I think as a coach for all these years, it's kind of hard to kind of recenter myself back into that. So I need a coach like you to help me kind of remind myself, like I need some coaching up too, right? So it's kind of an interesting thing. So thank you for that. And you're right about the motivation as well. Connecting, right? I think connecting, and I'm a relationship builder too, so I get that. So kind of building on that question. So how long have you been in business now in regards to, yeah, just an entrepreneur? And how long would you say was it where you really felt that, okay, I hit my goals, this feel like I can say I feel successful?
Ooh.
That's a hard one for me because it's always right. You're always going for something, the next. But when do you think that you actually was like, okay, I'm gonna breathe and I feel successful? Or what does that look, or what did that look like for you?
I think when you're going and going and going, it's so easy for you to be like, I'm not successful yet, and I'm not successful yet. But the hard truth is you have always been successful. And you have always been the person who does it, and you have always been worthy of your success. And that doesn't just exist in the future, that exists in the right now. And so I think that there are two parts of this. One is understanding that your success is in the right now, and you were already successful, and you already have been successful, and you are successful. And I would definitely write down all of the reasons why you already are successful, because you don't want to make success to be something that's in the future, that is something that's always unobtainable for you. Because if you are, then you're always going to be chasing after it, and you're never going to feel like you're good enough. Right. So understanding that you are already successful, you are already worthy, you are already the person who's achieved massive success, and then drawing the line from there. What's going to make me even more successful? So I think that that's one piece of it. But I think within your question, I think there's another piece that I also would want to answer, which is like, when do you feel like you're starting to get the momentum that you need, where you're like, oh yeah, okay, this is working for me. I feel like I've got it now. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is the piece
That,
that we want, because I think you already understand that you're successful. Hopefully that you do, because you totally are.
yeah.
Like, you have so much experience and like accolades. Like, you're
I
amazing.
always question it though. For some
We all
reason, it
do.
always goes back to that. It's interesting, but I like how you said building on that success and how do you get, how do you add more success? Because I
Exactly.
am successful now. That is hitting for me right now. That's
Good.
an
Yes. And it
one.
hits for everyone who's too hard on themselves, which I don't actually think is a bad thing. I think it's a really great strength that we are hard on ourselves, because we're constantly pushing for more, because we're high performers. Right.
Mhm.
So being hard on yourself isn't necessarily a bad thing. It's how we balance it. We're hard on ourselves because of the fact that we want more for ourselves, because we love ourselves, right? Not because we're trying to prove something to someone else. We're successful now. We're worthy now. We're deserving now. But how to create the momentum where we're just like, okay, I'm getting it, and I'm doing the more things. And I think that if we only evaluate success in the future, then it's always going to become a future thing, and it's never going to be something that we can possess now. So acknowledging that, but at the same time, strategically speaking, I really felt like I was becoming more successful when I started to see more momentum happening in shorter time periods. So what do I mean by this? Let's say, for example, you assign a client once every 6 months, and you're like, okay, amazing. Now let's do one client every 3 months. Now let's do one client every month. And then you just keep on shortening those time frames. I think that once I realized how to shorten those time frames, how to create the funnels, how to create the strategies, how to get the visibility, that I shorten those time frames, that's when I was like, okay, I've got this now. There's always a new goal, but when you can master that goal, when you can shorten that time frame, master that goal, that's when you're like, I've got this. I like now we need to move on to the next one, because we know that with people like us, it's never good enough, right? We always need the next one. But how do I do the same thing that I did before, but shorten it? And every single time that I can shorten that, there's always just like this, almost this relief of just like, I've got this, I've done it. And then as soon as you do it and you can celebrate yourself and you can sit in that celebration, then of course you're always on to the next success level. But the important part is also being able to celebrate it and being able to enjoy it. Does that make sense? And does that answer your question?
Dude, you don't even know how much that makes so much sense. Like, you know,
Yay.
I think that's what I think you totally said exactly what I was looking, or what I was not connecting to, is that shortened.
Yeah.
I think because I've done it in the past too, right? Like I call it a blueprint. Once I blueprint this, then I can move on to the next thing, because once I have the blueprint for this, I can keep this on repeat and just do this over and over again, and this will be fine, like a working machine, and just keep it happening. And but then it's the creating the blueprint, the getting it done, processing improvement, all, and that time frame of getting what the up to the goal. And then, but you're right. But the faster I can, then once the blueprint is done, then I can move on to the next. That is so true about that whole shortening the time frame. And thank you for that. once you sign one person every 6 months, then maybe you're gonna shorten it to do it every 3 months, do it every month, and then that just gives me like, oh, I can breathe into that.
Good. Yeah. Because you also realize and understand that you've already been doing it. So it's not like you've never
Yeah.
been successful. You have been successful, but maybe just not at the next level. Maybe you haven't earned your next belt of success. And so all you need to do is just kind of go back to, okay, well, what is the next level that I want to do? Accomplish that. And then you can kind of just keep on going.
that it's just I gotta laugh about it because it's like I am so hard on myself, like how you said, just high perform, like always expecting more.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then it's weird. Like I also don't see myself as a high performer because of that. Like I think it's taking me long to do stuff.
We
Ah,
all think that way. I think one really important thing to understand if you are a high performer is you always think that everyone else is ahead of you and that everyone else is like doing everything quicker than you, but it's only because your brain is trained to only look at the people doing better than you because all you want to do is grow. And so all you're doing is constantly looking at the people who are doing better than you. Your brain as a high performer is never going to be like, oh, well, look at all of these people who are like behind me, like look how much faster I did it, because you're so hardwired for high performance. But then that becomes the point as well, is to understand that, acknowledge that, be aware of it. And then once you're aware of it, then you can understand it's like, oh, well, might not be at that level that this other person is at because they have 5 more years of experience or whatever it is that they have, but I'm actually doing pretty good for myself. And according to the metrics that I have, this is why it's so important to be also in a state of reflection and not just in a state of growth. But
mhm.
reflecting on how far you've come is also like so valuable because honestly, all of us high performers, we always think that we're behind. It's one of the things that drives us. It's this constant feeling that we're behind, which is also what makes us propel forward and accomplish things so much more quicker than other people. It then becomes so much more important that we celebrate all of our success.
Oh, I just feel like I just need to breathe into that. I'm gonna be able
Yeah.
to listen to this podcast again, right? Like I
Good.
think
Over and
every so
over
often
again.
I might need to re-hear you coach me up like that. I love that.
Yeah.
Ah,
We all
that's
we all need to hear
amazing.
it. Yeah. It's just so funny because I did so well last year in business. And I remember telling my friend, I was like, oh, it's hard for me to not get down on it. And she's just like, well, what do you mean? You did so well. And I was like, yeah, but so and so did better than me. She's like, well, you're never gonna, if you're always putting yourself up against so and so, you're never gonna be the same, right? It's always a reason for you to feel inadequate. And instead of
Mhm.
making it a reason for you to feel inadequate, so instead of having someone else performing better than you or doing more than you, have that be a reason for you to be inadequate. Instead of that, I think what we need to do is we need to reprogram that and be like, look at how much better I could do in future years, but also look at how far I've come, where now that's the baseline. That's the standard that I want to achieve. Right? 2 years ago, that may not have been the standard that you wanted to achieve, but because you've increased your standards over time and you've always been growing, look at now the high standard that you have for yourself in comparison to previous years.
That reflection is so important. That's funny. That's, yeah, I think sometimes coaches just need to be coached up themselves, right? Like, wow,
Yeah.
like I needed somebody to tell me this when I'm always saying these things too. And that's awesome. Huh. That's really making me think. Like it's kind of blowing my mind right now. Like I needed that.
Good.
Thank you.
Yeah. You need the push,
Um,
right? One big
yeah.
thing that I always say as well in terms of your knowledge cycle is that there's knowledge, implementation, and reflection. So it's a cycle of those three things. And so most people, when they do entrepreneurship, they actually only have knowledge. They're looking to obtain knowledge, and all they do is just obtain knowledge. So these are the people who
Oh
get
yeah.
multiple certifications. These are the
Yep.
people who do all of their
Mm,
courses, right?
yep.
Like, and they don't pass the knowledge point.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so because there's no application of the knowledge. And so the second part is application. So it's implementation, right? If you're not implementing your knowledge, then you're not moving forward. You're just gaining a whole bunch of ideas. So you're becoming
Mhm.
smarter, but you're not implementing them. If you're not doing implementation, you're not growing, right?
Mhm.
But then there's the third one, which is reflection. So you obtain your knowledge, you implement your knowledge, but then you need to reflect on that implementation to really see, okay, how was my implementation of the knowledge? What do I need to change? What am I proud of? And it's that last part that I feel like so many of us entrepreneurs also forget, but it's so, so valuable because it gives us so much more self-awareness. And so if we can always do that, so don't stay at knowledge, don't stay at implementation, because staying in implementation is always just going to burn you out. It's always going to make you feel like you're not good enough. Always come back to reflection and then start again.
That's a nice circle to keep moving forward, right?
Yeah, exactly.
That's kind of interesting. So with that, also kind of piggybacking on that, in regards to that reflection, and you also talked about some data. So as when you were starting your coaching and starting the business, you share a lot of your data with us, and
Yeah.
so that we can see your metrics. So what is, if someone was starting out, like or not, I'm not starting out, but like where I'm at, in regards to systems, what kind of systems do you think really need to be in place so that I could have good data, the metrics, so that I could make process improvements and have good, like, be able to really reflect and evaluate where I'm at and where
Oh,
I'm.
yeah, this is such a great question. I'm really glad that you asked this one too. So every person online who's doing service-based work, especially coaches, what you want to understand is how to track your data in terms of where your people are coming from. I think that way too many people are not doing this. If you can create a system where you know exactly where people are coming in from and how many people are coming in from those specific areas per month, that is gold. That gives you so many metrics for you to analyze. It also really helps you to understand where your people are coming from, where your resources are best used, and what's the quality of people coming in from each place. And so if you can create a system, let's say, for example, from Instagram, where you have an email funnel and you're collecting emails, and you know that all of the people who are collecting or you're bringing into email are from Instagram, then at the end of the month, you can be like, okay, this is how many people I collected from email on Instagram this month. So let's say, for example, it's 100 people. I have 100 people that came in through Instagram this month. Out of those 100 people, I got 4 sales calls. Out of those 4 sales calls, I signed up 2 people, right? And always understanding what is your top of funnel metric and what is your bottom of funnel metric within the online space. And so having that funnel where it's just like, okay, are people coming in from Instagram? Maybe you have another email funnel that's people coming in from LinkedIn. Maybe you have another email funnel that's people coming in from Facebook. And maybe it doesn't have to be email. Maybe it's like that my group grew by 50 people this month. Out of those 50 people, 4 of them came onto sales calls. Out of the 4 that came onto sales calls, 3 of them became clients. And then you can start to assess, okay, was Facebook more profitable or was Instagram more profitable at the end of the month? Right? But you don't know any of those things if you don't have those metrics. And so these are the metrics that you also have inside the program, right? That you can go in and look through. But it's just so important for you to understand, how are people coming in? How many of them are coming in? And then how am I converting those people? Because when you can understand, okay, if I have 50 new followers, then that means that I'm going to have 20 new email subscribers. And out of those 20 new email subscribers, I'm going to book 2 calls and I'm going to book a client. That means out of 50 new followers, I'm booking 1 client. So that means for every 50 followers, I book a client. Okay, well, I just need to get more and more followers.
Right? If I can
right?
increase the followers, I will increase the clients. Yes.
Yeah, but you don't know your metrics yet until you actually run some people through them, and then you start to understand your specific data. And then at the same time, of course, when you're analyzing data for your business, a lot of people only focus on bottom of funnel. So we're only focusing on clients. And if we're only focusing on our bottom of funnel metrics, we're missing the entire point, right? And you know this because you're a business owner. But your top of funnel
generation, yeah.
Exactly. So your top of funnel is where it's at, because if you're not getting to anything at the bottom of your funnel, it's not because nothing is working. It's because somewhere along your funnel, something is wrong. And so that's why we want to analyze things at each and every stage of the funnel, because a lot of people, especially people who are very inexperienced with business, will be like, well, none of this worked, like my emails don't work or my ads don't work or something like that. But they're only saying that it doesn't work because they're not having their result of their bottom of the funnel metric, right? What we need to do is understand what went wrong between the top and the bottom and how to fix that. Does that answer your question?
Oh yeah, totally. I think, yeah. And you know where I'm at in trying to implement like social media strategy now. Like before I was like, I just gotta get online, right? And now
Right.
it's like, okay, now we have to be more intentional about what am I
Exactly.
putting up there? What is that, like how you talk about in the rapid expansion method, about your making sure that your messaging is right. So that, like you said, bringing in the right people so that they will come down into that bottom part of your funnel.
Exactly. Yeah. And so
Totally.
those are the things to analyze, right? Once we have data. So let's say, for example, if you are on Instagram and you feel like you have this really amazing email freebie, you have this really amazing content, but no one's signing up to your email freebie. And even though that you have like a few people following you, no one's signing up for it, that's probably a sign that your email freebie is off. Either the name of the email freebie is off or the actual subject matter of the email freebie. And so what you're always constantly wanting to test is, what is the market value of what it is that I'm providing? And the way that you test that is, well, are people actually coming to me? Right. And then once you have people coming to you, then that's the fun part, because then you're filling the top, and then all you need to do is just optimize for the bottom. But it's really important that you start with, like you said, those foundational pieces of, what is my primary marketing message? How can I make sure that that's sellable enough to get people in the top of the funnel so that I can generate income at the bottom?
Love that. Yes. Just different, like a perspective that I just have to kind of like work with my team now that we are building more social media content and being more intentional about it now.
Yeah. And I think something for you, Christiane, that would be really helpful is also um, the caliber of your team, because you're never going to be able to duplicate yourself. But the more that you can raise your team to the standard that you raise yourself to, the more that they're going to want to like work within that standard themselves. And so we just need to make sure that we're training them really, really effectively so they can be as good, if not better, than you in everything that you do, which obviously takes time. But this is the art of scaling teams as well, which we can do.
Yeah. So much like I am hoping that I can totally go back to I'm looking forward to this episode being posted so that I can like reset myself all, as well, and even share this with the team. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
kind
Oh,
of
that's
an
so great.
interesting place.
Yeah. Good. Awesome. Do you have any last questions? Anything that you want to leave us with?
Yeah, last one is, as I continue, like even with I've been talking to Crystal, like
Mm,
as I continue to get more people to s- come through the funnel. And for me, it's always that I've grown the team, right? I have someone doing sales for me, doing those sales calls now. Like, how do I it's kind of interesting because I saw how you met with me and you brought me into your program personally. So what do you think about that difference between do you do all of your sales calls or do you actually have someone else too? Like how I'm like I need to grow because it's just kind of an interesting space. I don't know. What do you
this is a
think
great
about
question.
that?
I love this.
Yeah.
Okay, so, oh, this is a good one. So almost all of 2023, I had closers on my team. I had sales reps. And so I had other people selling my program. Almost all of 2024, I sold my program myself. And here's what I feel like a big difference is. People know you and they want to feel your warmth inside of your own program. And so you're going to automatically close more than someone who is repping you, unless you can have that person really be able to respond to questions and objections the same way that you do. And so there's always going to be a little bit of lag when you hire your first sales representative to make sure that they're kind of on that way. And for me personally, I still haven't gotten into that groove of having the perfect fit person for my sales. I'm working on it. However, what I would actually rather do, and this is something that I train a lot of my clients with, is I would actually rather hyper qualify people before they even get on a call. So by the time that they come on a call, it's so likely that they're going to convert that we're not wasting time with people who are just like, who are never going to convert at all, who just kind of want to come on a call and pick your brain. So what I would say is I do have a combination of hiring sales reps and taking on my own. Right now, I would say I'm right in this month, I'm completely 100% my own. Last month, it was probably 50-50. Maybe next month, it might be 50-50 as well with a sales rep. But I would definitely say that one of the biggest things that you need to know in terms of hiring a sales rep and making sure that the sales rep is closing efficiently for you is the tighter your marketing and the better your marketing, the better people feel like they know, like, and trust you in your program on the front end is what's going to help the sales rep close on the back end. And so I think that you can still do it. I know a lot of entrepreneurs who are at 7 figures who don't have sales reps because they just do hyper qualifying and hyper targeting in their DMs. And so there's no one size fits all model. You just need to do the model that fits you the best.
And I like how in your program you talked about that VSL, because I think I saw you do it in the process with bringing me in. And by the time I watched the video, then I got on the call with you, I was ready to pay. I just had maybe a couple of questions, but I was really ready to play. And I think that was part of that hyper qualifying, right?
Exactly.
And
And so the
they
more
know
that you
exactly.
can, exactly. Yeah. So the more that you can put on in your funnel in terms of your marketing funnel to do the heavy lifting for you, the easier your sales process is always going to be. The more that you can hyper qualify, the more that you can put in a video sales letter, the more that you can put in objection handling before someone gets on a call. It's like you said, by the time you got on a call, you're ready. You were ready, right? And so that's what you want your clients to feel like, or your potential clients to feel like, because then it doesn't even matter if you have a closer or not. If they're sold into what it is that you're doing, they're going to close.
Got it. But then, you know how you're saying you're also doing it by yourself. I guess I'm not confident in sales like that. Like I like so I think I just have to get more confident or build my own confidence in that. However, I do have someone that I really do trust in doing my sales as well. And she's
Right.
actually the one who's actually closing the 3. We closed 1 today and she did that. So I was like, yay!
Oh, you got a
So
client
there's
today. You have
2
to post
more.
it in the win section. This is so exciting.
I know. And then I have 2 more that she's like, I think I warmed them up enough. And then
Good.
I think she's just gonna do the close. I think that's the part. Like I'm just kind of unsure about myself with the close. So
Yeah, that's fine. If you have someone else who does it better than you, that's great. It's all about also training that person. And so making sure that you're watching her recordings, watching everything that she does with them. But yeah, she already closed 1. That's amazing. That's a really good sign.
yeah. And I think it helps because it's my daughter and she's been with me at the hip.
Yeah, I
You
know.
know, and she's
Yeah,
also an entrepreneur herself and she knows all of the way that I do things. So it's
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 the
been
trust
really helpful
factor.
that
Yeah.
trust. And everybody who's getting on so far are people that kind of are my warm leads that they know us
Mm.
right now. But I wonder how it's gonna translate when it's just coming from Instagram. Just, we'll
Well,
see
she's
how that
sharpening up her skills now. So by the
yeah.
time she gets her warm leads from Instagram as well, she's golden, right? And she knows you because you're her mom. Like, I think that that's a perfect fit, honestly. You couldn't get a better fit than that. It's usually when someone's too far removed from you in terms of a closer that it's just like it's harder for them to close because they don't understand your inspiration. My
Mhm.
best closers that I've gotten from my team have been people who have actually been past clients. My past
Mhm.
clients always outperform any stranger who comes in, and especially past clients who've gotten really great results they always by far outperform anyone else that I can get closing for me. And it's just because it's that familiarity, right? And it's
The
that closeness
trusting.
that they can
Mhm.
that they can offer people where it's like it really increases the know like trust.
Oh, that's a good growth and scale tactic that you did is that you asked
Yeah.
past clients. I love that.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's
A
a
lot of
good
my
tidbit to
team.
share.
Yeah, a
Yeah.
lot of my team is actually past clients.
Nice.
And I think
I love that.
it's so great to hire past clients because one, you believe in them, you believe in their expertise, but also two, I think the beautiful part of that is that they truly believe in you. They believed in
Mhm.
you enough to invest their money in you. And so I think that they're such an incredible support system when you can hire the right ones.
Throughout, I'm like, yes, thank you so much for answering all these questions. Great. I got so much out of it. Like I said, I'm looking forward to the episode coming out.
Perfect. Okay, great. Well, thank you so much for being here, Christiane. For everyone who's watching, Christiane is also a business coach. She is phenomenal. She actually does, she's a professor, right? Do you
I'm an
teach?
instructor for the local
Yes.
community college out here. Yes.
Yeah. And you teach on social media?
I I teach. What do you mean? I teach on social media.
Sorry, what do you teach on? What do you instruct on at the local college?
Oh, right now I am focused on food entrepreneurship so that we can like have
Yes.
food security here in Hawaii. So really big impact, kind of changing, making sure that we're food secure here in Hawaii. And I'm doing that through economic development and teaching food entrepreneurs to start and grow their
Oh,
businesses.
that's amazing. Yes.
So
So
that's
many
that one. But
amazing.
my own signature program is so that's the night like a 5 to 9 job. I have my own signature program, my life and business by design, because I love working with entrepreneurs just across the board, not just food entrepreneurs. But for the past 2 years, I've been just helping the state kind of focus it and hone in on food entrepreneurship right now.
Amazing. Yeah, well, we'll leave all of your notes or like the ways that people can find you in our show notes as well.
Oh,
But yeah, thank
awesome.
you so much for being here, Christiane.
Thanks
And I
very
hope
much for
that
having me, Sarah.
thanks. Yeah. And so for anyone who's watching this, I hope that you guys really enjoy this. I've been loving doing these episodes just because I feel like these are real questions that are coming in from the community and specifically from my amazing clients. And if you guys know of anyone that you want to share this episode with, feel free to give it a share, give it a like, hit subscribe. You can also find me on Instagram at Sarah without an H, J Loureiro. That's Loureiro. Let me know how you loved this episode. I would love to hear from you.
Thanks for listening to the Uplevel Your Online Business Show. If you enjoy our show and would like the show notes and free goodies about how to grow your online coaching business, head over to sarajloureiro.com for more information. We hope you'll tune in next time.